Let's dive in. So today I'm talking to you about the 5 reasons your high-end program is not selling right now and is not selling yet, because it will be, right? The number one mistake that I see most coaches making with their marketing is that it's not something the market wants. So if you've created a program around your gifts and talents and you've kind of really tapped into what your heart wants and you really want to help people with X, but no one is searching for that thing and no one really cares about whether that happens for them, it won't sell. And this is a little bit hard to, let's say, reconcile, like make it come together, right? Because we want you to live in your wants and desire and your gift and like what your soul wants to give to the world. And then we have to marry that with what the market is asking for. Otherwise, we don't have a business. Okay? Just point blank. This is what's the number one mistake that I see for spiritual women. And mostly men tend not to do this, because they really don't have this problem where they really want to like be in their creative expression. So I want to help women be in their creative expression and also give the world what it's ready for right now, what the market is asking for right now. Okay. And this is really important as it relates to business. So us women, we tend to really struggle with this. We over and over and over again, I see this and we have a resistance to giving the market what it wants because it feels like maybe like a dumbed down version of our gifts. It doesn't feel like the highest expression of our gifts, et cetera, et cetera. You can even put in the comments what comes up for you when you think you have to give the market what they want, right? There's resistance there or there's something there about that. So that's the number one mistake. And how to combat that, right, is to really start doing some market research, okay? And then to get way more specific with your offer and that your offer solves the problem that people want, okay? And so obviously, if you work with me directly, that's what we do. We make sure that your offer is something the market wants, but that is something that you can do on your own. It's a quicker way to have a coach work with you on that, but that is something that you can do on your own. You can look at what people are searching for on social media as it relates to your niche or your area of focus. Your body of work. You can really start to look at what are people asking for? Where are the comments the most on certain posts? What do people want? What are they interested in? And I always say to my clients that because someone else does what you do, it's a very positive thing because it just shows you that there's a market for what you do. Yeah. If you can't find anyone else who does what you do, and partly because you've tried to differentiate yourself, the issue there is that there probably isn't a market, meaning there aren't people buying that. Okay. All right. Second reason, why people love you, but don't buy from you. Why people love you and don't buy from you. So you've probably had this experience on social media where you're posting and you're sharing your heart and you're being authentic and you're maybe even being vulnerable, because we know that that is currency in today's time, right? Being more real and raw and open with people is definitely the way to connect more. And so you can definitely build an audience and people can fall in love with you and they're like commenting, like, oh my God, I love what you stand for, but they're not buying your programs. And the reason for that, the number one reason for that is that you are not clear enough in the results of your offer. People buy results, people buy changes, people buy systems. People need to know that when they part with their money, they're going to get a certain result. And so while they might love you and love what you stand for, your offer and what it will help them achieve isn't clear enough. Okay? Because people don't buy your program. They don't buy the modules of your program. They don't buy how long the coaching is or how many sessions it is. They don't buy any of that. They actually buy the results that they need in their life. That's what they're investing in. It's all about them. So if that's not clear to them, what they're going to get from your program, they won't buy it. Number 3, the 3 S's that make an irresistible offer. So this goes back to number 1 that I talked about. It should be searchable. People should be searching for this. So if you're trying to get women to be more sensually awakened, because we have a lot of relationship intimacy, coaches in here. If you're trying to sell that, it's not that people don't want that, but women aren't necessarily searching for that at night, when they're like, can't sleep. They don't wake up and go on Google and say, how can I become more sensually awake? Let's go a little bit further. If they have that desire to become more sensually awake, it's for what? It's to ease a pain of something. And that pain is probably related to pain they experience in their body. Either they're disconnected from their body, they're unable to orgasm, and that's affecting their relationship, or the lack thereof of a relationship. And that is the driver. So if you don't hit the driver, it won't sell and people won't get it and they won't be searching for it, which is what we're talking about here. The driver is to relieve pain and to get a result. It needs to be, second S is it needs to be solution based. So again, just results oriented. Your program has to be really clear in the results that people will get by the end of the program. They have to really understand what you do and the result that you essentially promise them from working your system or, what you've come up with. And this is important. And this is a huge step for women when they feel insecure or unworthy, right? All of these wounds that come up, because it means that we have to step in at a greater level to our own confidence and feel like we're worthy and feel like what we have to share is unique and it's valuable. All right. But you have to have a solution-oriented offer. Let's go back to the first example. So a woman would become more sensually awake. It's ambiguous, so it's not specific enough, and it doesn't relieve a pain. So while that can be like a tenet or a facet of the program, and that's something that maybe would be a benefit that she wants to receive, the main result of the program needs to be something more specific to her pain, and solution oriented to that main pain. Okay. And specific, solution based, and searchable, which we talked about in the first point here, the first reason. Number 4 reason is the masculine machine type descriptors you need in your marketing, even for the feminine buyer. I mentioned this already, but I'll hone it in here, which is that people buy systems. It's just the way that our brain works. So when women, even for the feminine buyer, right? Women are definitely more sensual. We're more soft. We're more nourishing. We're less like logical and analytical and systematic, right? But when we buy, the psychology of buying behavior, even for a woman, is that she's still going to part with money and she needs to know that this thing is going to work. And systems make us feel like something's going to work. Like someone has developed a system that works for other people and therefore it must work for me. And it's just part of the psychology of how our brain works in making buying decisions. So a lot of coaches, what I see, you're changing offers all the time. So people are confused about what you do, perhaps. And you talk about your program differently all the time, where you should bring some complexity and some interesting different factors in your posts and your emails and what you're sharing about it. But essentially, at the end of the day, people need to know that there's a system that you plug them into and it works. And it has worked for other people, and you showcase testimonials. So systems, processes, blueprints, I don't really like that word, but and maybe you don't like the word system and you don't have to use system, but like the point here is that you even in your mind know that there's 6 steps for someone to go through in your program to get them from point A to point B. People buy coaching so they can go from point A to point B faster, so they don't make the same mistakes of someone who does it on their own. That's mainly why people buy coaching. So they're investing in you to tell them what's the faster route. What's the sure route? Tell me what works, what has worked for other people, and what will likely, with probability, work for me. So that needs to be there. And I would encourage you to start thinking about your system, especially if you want to scale. There's no way to scale your coaching business if you're selling multiple programs all the time and if you don't have a system like around your signature program. So what you want to do is start to systematize it so then we can what we do in our programs as well as help you to productize your business and your offer, which means that you can go from high ticket to low ticket. We actually encourage high ticket to low ticket instead of low ticket to high ticket. So you start at high ticket, you sell a certain amount, and you get to a base level revenue every month. And then you can add your lower ticket program, which will be sold passively, which will be sold online. It's a great way to reach the masses because there's a lower barrier of entry because the investment is lower and it's more accessible to people. So you can't create that without starting to systematize how people work with you and what it is your body of work is. So really start to think about what is your body of work and how can you systematize it or make it a step-by-step process so it's simple for people. And then, number 5 is the belief hack to get you into 1000% alignment with the value of your offer. So one of the main things I hear from a lot of women that we work with and that we talk to every day that they want to sell high ticket, but they still have a lot of murky funkiness around charging, say, $5,000 for their program. And so the number one thing you need in order to do that is belief. If you don't believe that your program is worth $5,000, you will never sell it. Even if a coach tells you it's totally worth $5,000, if you don't believe it, you won't sell it. So the biggest barrier to scaling or growing your coaching business is sales skills, which we've been talking about like last week in our lives. And we focus a lot on in High Ticket Empress because getting good at sales is really like the most important skill that you can learn, but you need to learn it in order to have a successful coaching business that provides for you and your family and grows and reaches the world, right? Because you came here to deliver a certain ministry, a certain message, and that needs to get out into the world, but you do need to become good at sales because otherwise no one's going to experience your work, period, right? So how do you become aligned with a $5,000 offer if right now you're like, shit, I mean, I know what I do is great, but I don't know if people should pay $5,000, right? So you know right away that a lot of that has to do with like what you spend and how you can sort of think about how people spend money. And so maybe you think I would never spend $5,000 on coaching, and so therefore why would someone spend it with me? Well, number one, they won't. So if you've never spent what you want to charge, you won't be able to sell it. It's just like the way that it works. So go out and invest in a high ticket program. And believe me, we've seen this with so many of our clients. As soon as they do, then they're able to calibrate. It's literally like a new energy calibration. They're able to calibrate at the high ticket level. So many women are trying out there to sell high ticket and they don't invest high ticket. They're trying to buy 197 programs or 997 programs to teach them how to sell high ticket, and they've never invested high ticket. So it just doesn't work. Your belief is everything. So clean that stuff up. Make sure you're investing at the same level you expect people to invest with you. What you really want to think about is, say you do health coaching and, you know, like you've had amazing successes with people, and, you know that if, someone can literally change their life, and not just, like their weight or the way they look. It's like literally, on a cellular level, this person is completely changing their paradigm of living, right? and their trajectory of their wellness for their entire life. Like, what is that worth to someone? What is that worth? That is worth, I mean, more than we can quantify, right? You're not only changing it for yourself, right? That person's not only changing it for themselves, they're changing it for their children. They're changing it for future generations, you know, to change bad habits around eating, to, you know, eating addictions, body dysmorphia, having, you know, like a really distorted view of their body, having self-hate, and all the deeper currents that cause those things. When you can help someone with that, wow. I mean, $5,000 is nothing. And so hopefully you get that when I say that. And of course, a coach can tell you that, but you need to really believe it. And that's the hack. You got to really go deep and go, what is this worth to this, you know, to this woman, say we were talking about before? Maybe just becoming more sensually alive today is not something that she feels is $5,000 worth. So therefore you have a disconnect. But saving her marriage might be worth $5,000. Attracting her beloved might be worth $5,000 to her. Yeah. So that's when you got to go to the deeper pain, like the deeper thing that's like rubbing her, or him. And that's when you can align with like, whoa, that investment is nothing. Okay. So, when we teach people how to go, like literally they can scale their business to $100,000 a month with what we teach. How can I even put a price on my program? Right. It's like, you know, it's a vehicle to become a millionaire, using your gifts, the best way to become a millionaire. So yeah, that's really, you really need to feel that in your body though. You can't just intellectualize it. You got to bring it down into your field and really feel it. And once you do, wow, the people who come to you will be different. The clients who potentially want to work with you will be different, because you will just be calibrating like with such belief, and everyone will feel it. So, okay. Those are the 5 reasons. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to take some questions right now. Yeah, Corinne, great point. Exactly. And safety is a great, Corinne said, when there's a system to follow, it's clear, efficient, and works. Also feels more safe for me personally. If there's no system, it feels chaotic. So, exactly. Like, it's like that, you know, our nervous systems are looking for safety always. And so when we feel like there's a proven system, you know, and I understand, like, you can't prove or guarantee anything to anyone, because how your client shows up is really the dictator of how successful they will be. But if you have a proven system and you know that it works because people have been through it, then, you know, they will feel like this is a safe investment, and they'll need to feel that. They'll need to feel some of that surety. So a system is really important, and a lot of spiritual women are ambivalent and ambiguous around creating systems because it feels masculine, and I get that. And this is where we develop and heal our relationship with our own inner masculine, and we're able to leverage that piece of us that needs to be there in order to grow into our full expression. Thank you for being here, and I'd love to hear how this integrates for you and if you've made any changes in your offer from this training. Lots of love.